So just finishing up Friday of our super quote-unquote drill weekend of June. We have drill typically on the first weekend of every month. Every weekend or every drill kind of falls at a different time sometimes. This month we are doing 3 days, so we have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of drill, and today was just a day, man. It was super busy, very chaotic. I will say, like, being an NCO, you've just got greater responsibility. Being in the military, you are the fighting force. You are the one taking care of people, doing the mission, doing all the brunt work, and today was just really long and very exhausting. My cup is super full though, doing all the things that I do, and I love what I do, so it makes it a lot easier on the days where I'm super exhausted, but I'm still human. I'm the NCO of our immunizations clinic. I also am the TCCC Program Manager at our base, and within our medical group, that means I get to train our medics on tactical combat casualty care principles and making sure that they're squared away so that when they go down range, they know how to treat people accordingly and basically handle the worst case scenarios and bring people home safely and in one piece. I take pride in helping our medics bring them up to speed and learn these principles and these skills that are super important, right? Like, I didn't really realize the importance of these principles and these skills until I deployed myself. When I deployed myself, I started to see the importance of the big picture. Handling an arterial bleed, handling a STEMI with limited resources, and then allocating it accordingly. You're never going to be in the most optimal situations or scenarios when you deploy. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have limited resources, and then on top of it, you have to factor in, you're in a deployed zone and in a combat zone typically, right, where people don't like you, right? So how are we going to get our troops safely moved in these zones, right? And how are we going to get them to a higher echelon of care? How long are we sitting on these troops? Like, how stable are they? Like, do they need surgery? Are they going to die within an hour if we don't get them the care that they need? So these are all things that you have to really factor in a deployed zone that you don't have to think about if you're practicing as EMT, paramedic, stateside. You're close to a trauma center, relatively, if you live in Baltimore, right? We have shock trauma. We have a lot of different trauma centers. And we get very comfortable and complacent if you practice on the stateside. In reference to military medicine, it's totally different. We still use joint trauma system protocols and CPGs, and our deployed medicine app is the go-to for all of our deployed medicine and all of our medics and all of our training for TCCC principles. So if you're in the military and you're curious, download the deployed medicine app, and it will give you the foundational skills of understanding what TCCC is. We've got multiple tiers with that, right? Tier 1 is like all service members, so anyone that is in uniform, you at least need Tier 1. You get that in basic training. Tier 2 is your combat lifesavers. Those are people who are in the medical group. It doesn't matter what you are. If you are in the medical group, you're going to be at least a Tier 2, right? Your combat lifesavers have a little bit more experience and a little bit more scope of practice, right? And then your Tier 3 are your combat medic corpsmen. So those are your folks like your medics, your folks that are in more advanced critical care nursing fields, right? Your PAs and all that stuff have Tier 4 that they can go through. So it's super awesome. I love teaching TCCC, but as an NCO, there's a lot that comes down on us and puts a lot of pressure on us so that we make sure that our airmen are squared away and good to go. And running a shop in immunizations, and we've had a lot of MMR things come down the pipeline with immunizations recently because of outbreaks of measles and all that stuff. So our changes have come down and told us, like, hey, now it's not just one part of this vaccine series they need both, 2 parts of the vaccine series. So we're just like, okay, figuring it out, mitigating it, handling it, and doing the best we can with what we have, right? And now on top of it, I was also asked to be our unit's fitness monitor, right? So one of them, at least, so basically what that means is that I'd be in charge of making sure everyone's squared away with their PT test. They know when they're taking it, this, that, the third, right? So come to find out, Big Air Force has basically told us, look, your unit is now testing together, which I love, because I love PT, and physical training is a huge part of my life, and fitness is something I live by. I think everyone needs to have the mentality of, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right? Like, don't focus on just getting ready for a PT test, like if you are physically active and physically fit, you don't have to sit here and stress about a 2-mile run. Now there are some folks that have injuries and have issues that they need some modifications and different modalities to be given to help them through whatever it is that they're struggling with or going through. And I'm super grateful that I'm in an opportunity now to help facilitate change and give them the tools that they need so that they can progressively get to where they need to be, so that they can still be in the Air Force, or maybe separate. Here's a prime example. If you cannot do your job and do it effectively, and you're not supporting the mission, then maybe we need to talk about separation, because ultimately what matters is how you take care of your people, how you take care of yourself. But if you're not in good standing to even take care of people, then how can you help people? Ultimately what it boils down to is by leading by example. If you're an NCO, no matter what your rank is, really, you should be asking yourself, can I do my job proficiently and efficiently? And if you're a medic in the military and you can't carry somebody that weighs 225 pounds, or you're not able to deadlift that weight, we need to talk. If you cannot run a 2-mile race without feeling totally gassed, we need to talk, right? There's so much more to it than just running and lifting, though. There's so many other modalities. And I'm grateful I'm now in a position where I can create change within our unit, yet alone our wing, hopefully. I'm doing so in a way that I want to create change and do it in a way that is smart and strategic, right? So anyway, I went through this meeting today. They're doing a lot of stuff with PT changes coming down the pipeline, which I'm really excited about. And then I didn't realize this meeting was going to be 3 hours long, right? I was like, holy cow. Ran right into my therapy session I had with my therapist. So I was like, crap, I have this meeting. Let me go up the stairs to work on meeting with my therapist and talking through things, right? Therapy is super important in my life right now. I think I really have come very far with my mental health, and I prioritize that still to this day because it's super important to talk to somebody, and I have a lot to say, which is why I created a YouTube channel, which is why I'm doing all that I'm doing. But it's super important to have these conversations with people, and especially having a therapist that you can have somebody from an outsider perspective that has all this knowledge to help you out with giving you the tools for success so that you can see change long term, so that you can handle whatever it is that you're dealing with. It's like having an outsider perspective to give you a different lens through things that changes things, right? So I had my therapy appointment. It went really well. Each therapy appointment, I feel like I get hit with a new reality, of ooh, there's that thing that keeps either resurfacing in different ways, or there's something that you still need to work through, right? And I don't think about those things. That's why you have a therapist that helps you out with bringing light to some of the things that are going on. She reminded me hey, you're functioning at this really high capacity right now. You're very full throttle. Every time we've had a session, you've never been in the same place. And I was like, this is true. I was like, I'm functioning at this high level and this high caliber right now because I'm high on life. I have a passion. I have a desire to bring change on multiple levels to different platforms. And I want to know, or I want airmen, and I want firefighters, and I want people to know that they're not alone. And my mission has always been to help those around me, to leave people, places, and things better than I find them. And what I'm focused on right now lights me up at the beginning of the day. So I can function off of minimal sleep. I'm not saying I wear that with pride. I'm just saying, like, it's not a huge factor for me right now, you know? She just reminded me, like, hey, you just can't keep going at this capacity for years, though, you know? So she's like, I do the same, you know? She was like, I have issues practicing what I preach, you know? And I was like, I struggle with the same thing sometimes, you know? I always give other people grace. Sometimes I need to give myself that grace, that same grace I try to give others, right? So with all that being said, you know, she challenged me with a few different things. And she asked me this one question at the end of our session. She's like, I'm going to leave you with something I want you to think about, you know, for our next session. And she was like, what is your relationship with your body? Like, from the standpoint of everything I know about you, this is my perspective of, like, your body you look at as this performance tool, right? Of, like, you eat to perform, you eat to live, you're this 1% of people that, like, looks at things through this really particular lens of, like, this is what is helping me grow, this is taking me to the next level. But what is your relationship with your body, right? So that just really hit me, because I was like, I didn't even realize that I had work to do on that part of things, you know? Like, your relationship, your mind, your body, the mind-body connection is really a true thing. It is 100% one. And I didn't even realize the work that I needed to do on healing my relationship with my body until she asked me that question, you know? So of course I'm sitting there crying. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think I needed work to do on this, but here we are. So I'm gonna leave you guys with a little bit of a reflection from my favorite meditation, Journey to the Heart, because I feel like this was a super relevant passage for me today, and hopefully it helps you in whatever you might be going through or struggling with, or, you know, whatever situation you're in, right? So it's June 5th, and this really resonated with me from square one, right? The title of it is, what are you trying to prove? Dang. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, not even to yourself. A subconscious desire to prove ourselves may be hiding at the root of our fears, the root of our tension, the root of our need to do and be more. Accompanying it can be a burning belief that we aren't good enough, that we need to compensate for some deficiency in ourselves in order to take our place on this planet. We may feel like we have to earn our place, earn our right to be here, like we're being watched and judged or graded. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You're fine just the way that you are. You have energy, you have vitality. You have particular gifts and talents. You have been learning your lessons just right in your life. Let go of the need to prove yourself to others, to parents, to people from the past, people in your life today. Could it be the one that you've really been trying to prove something to is yourself? The answer is simple. Learn to approve of yourself, love and accept yourself the way that you are today, then step right up and take your place in the universe. So I feel like that was super, very pertinent for today, because I compensate. I feel like I don't necessarily compensate, but I want to say that I'm not proving anything, like all the things that I'm doing right now, or for a purpose, or for a greater purpose than myself, right? My intentionality is to help others, to show them the light, to share my story, to be vulnerable and let people know, like, I'm leading from this place of compassion and understanding, not from a place of hatred or expectation, or, the reason why we're struggling the way that we are in our nation right now is because we're not having these conversations, because we're not being vulnerable, because we're not dropping our guard to allow people to help us when we need help the most, right? So I'm here to let you know and to let everyone know that it's going to be okay no matter what your experience is, but you just have to be willing to ask for help if you're not in a good place, and to let your people take care of you. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope this helps you in some way, shape, or form, and that you know that you are worthy, that you are enough, and the world is a better place with you in it. So I love you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I will post more additional updates. So, bye.